You know, Jesus died at age 33.
Really?
Yeah.
According to?
Well, according to scholars. But, you know.
And Mary was 14 or 16.
I don't know how old she was, but Jesus died at 33.
How so your scholars don't tell you about Mary?
I don't really care too much about Mary because Mary didn't sacrifice her life for her people.
Oh, she gave birth to the sacrificer.
Yeah, so, you know, that's honorable of her.
How shade.
Steve Biko died at what? Just before 30 or 31. Just before he turned 31. So I managed to outlive Steve Biko. I was very happy about that because, you know, there was once upon a time where Ramophosa, the king of Kwaito, introduced me as the Steve Biko of the music industry. And I thought to myself,
snap.
This guy want me dead.
I'm a big deal.
So now my next challenge is that I turned 33 this year. I need to outlive Jesus.
No, that's hectic. I've heard Kanye West say something similar. I think he was comparing himself to Park.
Nah.
Oh, no, not so much Park, but I think the average black male, and considering he's got a loud mouth, his probability for life should have been much lower.
Yeah, same here.
I'm surprised by... Okay, so we don't want you to die, of course. But I'm surprised that people haven't beaten you up.
Why? Why
No,
would
we are
people beat me
delela.
up? Angtelele. That's the
No,
thing.
but we are delela.
No, that's what they think.
No, that's what we know.
No, that's what people think. Well, I'd rather that than they disrespect me.
Do you think maybe people don't come at you either because they don't have access to you or because genuinely they're fascinated?
No, I just feel like I'm a genuine human being. Also, people only know me now. They don't know the stuff that I've been doing for the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
You know, this year my record company turns 21 years old.
Congrats, bro.
You know, thank you.
Becomes an adult officially.
Yeah, congrats to it. It's its own entity.
Yes, but you raised it. So well done to you as the parent.
Thank you. I don't know many people my age who've got businesses that have lasted for 10 years, never mind 21. So I'm going to give my company the key this year. And because of the work that I've been able to do, right, I've been able to travel the country like a politician, but also to travel the country unlike a politician, to travel and be amongst the people. So when I go to Taung, you know, at DJ Nation's party, right, there might be 10,000, 15,000 kids there that are coming for the party, but when we're there, we're treated like locals. We get taken to the local shebeen, the local chisanyama, you know, we get the local stock or presented to us of booze and whatever else is available in the town, you know, so you get to know
that's what
places.
You mean by local stock?
No, that's not what I mean by
I'm saying, sorry.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like in my old BBM, when we still had BBM, I used to have my BBM ordered in cities. Yeah, I used to have Bloemfontein and then like 35 contacts in Bloemfontein, 5 guys and then 30 girls. Every city, Kimberley, you know. That's so dope. I've lived everywhere. I've lived amongst people. I've lived amongst Zulus like yourself. You understand? Even though you are no longer Zulu, I've lived amongst those who still are hard Zulus.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? And
good people, those.
But look at me. Do I look like I've been beaten up by Zulus, bruised or anything else? I've been in the hostels with them. I don't speak Zulu fluently.
Sure.
I speak Nyakumsha. I speak English. I speak the English that annoys Zulus. You understand what I'm
Zulu
saying?
people are not violent.
No. I know they're not violent. That's the thing. I know that. I know they're not violent. They're misunderstood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that I know people like that. And that's why people might be surprised. Oh, this guy, why aren't people fighting him? It's like, this guy knows how to live with people. He might be a suburban boy, but he's a suburban boy who's able to ukulale lokshin for years. And not see himself as different.
Are you a messiah of sorts?
Not really. I've just been given so many opportunities, you know, to help people that it has become something that I find really rewarding. You know, it gives me meaning, it gives me purpose. Like whenever I find a situation where I might have the requisite skills to uplift someone else, you know, that is what I don't know.
Why do you have an issue with the term Messiah? The chosen one, the leader, the taking people to the promised land.
The problem with that is that people like having a Messiah. And I don't feel like anyone is a chosen one. I feel like my path is chosen because I've chosen this path. I've chosen to take on this path. I've chosen to be of service to people, to humanity. And that's a path that I've chosen. It's not a path that was chosen for me. And anyone else can choose this path. And I want to exemplify the fact that anybody can choose this path, and it's not a difficult path to choose. It's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling, and you don't need the riches and all the other frivolous things, you know, if you've got a meaningful life where you're able to be of benefit to people. I mean, I'm not a billionaire, but yeah, but you know, I don't even have a desire to have billions in net worth. Like, honestly, like there's companies I've started that I don't have equity in. I started a company, I gave it to the person to have a company to have. Now, if I was as shrewd as a businessman as I am with my own companies and my own businesses that I do care about, I would have taken whatever equity I would have put in, you know what I mean? My net worth would be expanded, you know, tenfold. That'd make me a centimillionaire. That would make me on my way to being a billionaire. But at what cost? You know, at the cost of, you know, having people have to understand you through the lens of being a business person, which is a very difficult thing to do. You know, you hear people speaking about Steve Jobs and what a difficult person he was to work under and work with. But I mean, I've got 200 slaves in my pocket right now, thanks to him.
Yeah.
You know, me. And I'm not a slave owner. You know, I don't have a plantation, but I'm able to do that work thanks to how hard Steve Jobs was to be around. So that persona is also a difficult persona to reconcile with oneself, because it makes you have to make difficult decisions. I made a lot of very difficult decisions, like in the past year, a lot of my business relationships, you know, that I had to let go of, not because I didn't care about the people, but because I knew that they weren't in a condition to see how they were just being unhelpful to themselves. The ingratitude, the lack of appreciation for someone's effort, you know. None of the people that I've worked with in business, I owed them anything. They weren't my family members. They weren't attached to me by blood. They weren't my cousins or anything else. You know, I didn't need to take them out of their mother's houses. I didn't need to put them where they are. You know what I mean? I did that because I wanted them to see their own potential and to see things that they speak about as like visions and dreams actually come into fruition. And I was able to do that, you know. But at the same time, when you do that for someone, if that person doesn't have the self-esteem, if that person's confidence is something that they're putting on, it'll take something from them to then realize that everything that they have or everything that they've accomplished is owed in some part to someone else, and they can't reconcile with the fact that they didn't do it themselves. And nobody can do anything themselves. I've never done anything myself either. You know, I've worked with amazing people that I've chosen because I felt like they could help me get further along my path with their specific skills that I don't have. And because I'm confident in my own skills enough and I don't feel intimidated by other people's skills, I can appreciate how they contribute to me, and I can show that appreciation without it diminishing from my own self-image. And other people just don't have that. I can't say, Penuel, you have helped me. Penuel, you have exposed me to an audience that I would have never gotten to thanks to me coming onto your show. And you didn't give me $1 million, but you've given me $1 million worth of value, and I owe you something for that. And other people just cannot bring themselves to say that, and it eats them inside. And because they cannot say that, then they want to demonize or to villainize you. You understand? Lo, wangenza so. And it's like, you know.
The Jay-Z line?
Yeah. The Jay-Z line is like, all of these niggas that I kill for, that I die for, be the same niggas that I die for. How does he say?
Not that line.
And they want me dead, but I'm sorry, but I just can't die for you. But I can make them put their hands in the sky for you.
No, not that line. The line, I heard motherfuckers saying they made Hove.
Made Nota say, okay, so make another Nota. Niggas wasn't playing their day role, so we parted ways like Ben and J-Lo. You know, that's my thing.
Isn't that a lack of appreciation from Jay-Z, of the people that helped him along the way?
That's Jay-Z, you know, and that's why, you know.
But you don't agree with that. You're like, no, you have to give kudos to.
That's why Jay-Z doesn't appreciate Kanye.
Yeah.
He can't appreciate Kanye.
Dame Dash.
He can't appreciate Kanye.
And Dame Dash.
He can't appreciate Kanye. Dame Dash is his peer, his contemporary. Their beef, it's personal. It's over Aaliyah, and she's dead. There's no way they'll ever reconcile that. They both love that girl. She died with both their hearts. in her.
Before we get to Aliyah, you realize that a lot of great leaders and messiahs almost never accept it. So you kind of expected to be like, no, I'm just serving. I just want to show that ordinary people, just an ordinary boy from Ekunu.
I don't want to be killed.
That's the biggest thing. Do you think that's one of the biggest mistakes those people have made?
It's not that I fear it. Né? It's not that I fear it, because like I've been in situations where I felt like I could have got myself killed.
Yeah.
And I've gotten myself in situations where people are like, listen, you're going to get yourself killed right now. And I get out of it. But I just don't want that. Like, the world is weird. It's not like the world was in the past before.
Sure.
And weird people can get weird ideas. Sure. I mean, that's how John Lennon got killed. That guy was radicalized, thought that John Lennon was brainwashing the world into some crazy stuff. He bought a gun in the next town. He went all the way to New York, waited at the park where John Lennon always goes, and then shot and killed him. You understand? And that's the end of the Beatles.
Just a crazy weirdo.
You understand? And
you don't think the Chris Hani story was similar? Because Janusz Wallace is just Polish guy who was angry at communism.
John Lennon, yes, was a musician and he was fighting against the war in Vietnam and everything else, yes. Yeah. But Chris Hani was irresponsible. Dude, you're in a liberation struggle. Why would you tell your bodyguards to be off duty? At the height of negotiations, after all the shit that you've caused in the negotiations, when yourself, knowing that Amapun Akfuna dead, Eugene Terblanche is alive, AWB wants you dead. Like, now you want to get some pussy from an air hostess from Air Transkai.
You reckon it was reckless and it wasn't planned? I mean, like, there's people that have said that it's the ANC itself.
At that stage, no, dog. At that stage
you don't think it was the ANC?
What I'm saying is that even if it was the ANC,
sure,
he was reckless enough to get himself in a position where he didn't have protection.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most prized lives in the country at that point in time.
I hear you.
You understand? If you're one of the top 5 most important black people in your country at that point in time, you're at another level that black people don't ever get to.
Sure.
You understand? So you need to be well protected.
Yeah.
They protect the mayor of a small town. You understand? Who doesn't even get tenders.
Yeah.
You see how people, the MEC in Ekurhuleni, the housing MEC in Ekurhuleni, or the deputy housing MEC, how he got shot with like how many bullets in that S-class of his.
You don't feel we're in like, that space anymore. That's why you don't need
Dekoran.
But I'm talking about you yourself.
No, but Babita Dekoran had evidence of wrongdoing. She could put people in jail. I am not an investigator. I can't put people in jail. There's nothing I know that can put people in jail. I don't have compromising information, and I don't carry compromising information, because if you carry compromising information, that's how you get yourself killed.
That's what you mean by, I don't want to die. I don't want the type of intel. I'm happy to bash other celebs and entertainers, because that's kind of okay.
I mean, it's not like they're shooters or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? I'm happy to take them out of the place where they can get involved in the tender business. I'm happy to eliminate Shimza from ANC patronage, because he knows that it will bring a bad rap to the ANC, because already we've already painted that he's corrupt. You know, it's fine that I have to pay 200,000 rands. It's fine that I have to pay those legal fees. It's fine. That's like, you know, skin off my back. But I'm paying those fees so I can continue to say, you will no longer be part of ANC corruption. You will not be the poster boy. You will not get people to dance to the tune of corruption. You understand? You will not spin those turntables for them anymore.
Do you think you won?
I mean, have you seen him at any rallies? Have you seen him publicly carrying the ANC flag? I've won in that. So he cannot do that, because that will mean that he directly compromises his girlfriend.
So he realized that, look, I might catch heat in the way I move.
Yes, his girlfriend was there in the court.
Yeah.
She was there to make sure that the judge remembers that, hey, you are in the CR17 sealed papers. She was the one who was running the campaign. She knows what's in those sealed papers that Cyril says he's got no idea about. She's the plausible deniability. She's part of the team plausible deniability. So is Kusela Digo, who wanted to take a picture with the second DSG of the ANC. And handed me her phone, and I took that picture, but she didn't photocrate me. It's
the
fine.
Second question I wanted to ask.
She's still in mourning.
The second question I wanted to ask from your earlier points were, you don't really want to be a billionaire in net worth, and I wanted to ask, why not?
Not that I don't want to be. It's not something I'm striving for. I had a conversation with my wife not too long ago when she was, I don't know. She just told me, I want to be a billionaire. I'm thinking to myself. Okay. I mean, a lot of your net worth is thanks to me. and I don't want to be a billionaire. Man. So how do you want to be a billionaire if the guy who can help you be a billionaire doesn't want to be a billionaire? Maybe you should ask him. Or maybe she was asking me to make her a billionaire. So I don't mind making my wife a billionaire. If she wants to be a billionaire, I don't mind it. But what you have to do to be a billionaire, you have to fit into the ESG. If you're Elon Musk, even if you're worth 300 billion. And if you don't fit into ESG, you don't get the tax credits for Tesla. You understand? And then your stock price plummets. And nosedives. And then those billions are where? Inconsequential. They're nowhere to be found.
Guy lost $200 billion in net worth.
You understand? He's broken the record. Yes, he broke the record so that Kanye wouldn't have to feel so bad about himself. That's what we do as brothers. That's what we do as men. I see my boy Penuel. He's banned. He's suspended off Twitter. I get myself suspended.
Like I say,
you understand?
We're with you, comrade.
Suspended.
Cheese, welcome to the club, by the way.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
Elon will resurrect us.
Welcome back. You must remember, I was the one who started the club. I'm the first person to be permanently suspended on Twitter.
Jeez.
In the world, before Trump.
In the world?
Yes. They started it with me. The permanent suspension started with me. I told you about this whole entire
Why were you permanently suspended?
Because I basically summarized Kanye West's contracts that rant.
Yeah.
And then that painted Jay-Z in a bad light while he was busy doing negotiations for Jack Dorsey to take over Tidal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was going to reduce, that was messing with his business.
Okay.
Both their business. Jack Dorsey, who's a 2.3% shareholder in Twitter, and Jay-Z, who was the owner of Tidal until that point where he sold it. So it was affecting their business. So they said, let's remove this guy, discredit whatever conversation, make him look like a lunatic, and then we'll continue.
But what did Twitter officially say to you?
What Twitter officially said. Twitter didn't say anything to me. Sony spoke to me from New York. So they called me from New York. Obviously, Jay-Z's wife is the biggest artist at Sony, Beyonce, or biggest black artist at Beyonce. So I was working at Sony at that point in time. And they said, fine, we respect your stance and respect your fight, but you need to make a decision. Do you want to fight this within? If you want to fight this within, you can't say anything about it on social media. If you want to fight this independently, we can support you, but we'll need to support you as an independent outside of this. And I said, you know what? I'd rather you support me as an independent because my credibility is worth more to me than the title. And so I continued to work with Sony as a consultant on a non-compete contract for a year after I resigned on the 1st of June 2021. And since then, I've just been building my credibility as an industry player, as a music business authority, because, they only respect you in this country if you've got money. So I needed to buy the Benz, for that. Not because I like luxury cars, but so that I at least get the requisite respect when I've
heard friends in the tender space say the same thing. They bought cars just so that people take them seriously in meetings.
Yeah. No, an artist is never going to sign to me if they feel like this guy's supposed to make my dreams come true, but he's driving in a Toyota.
That's me with the Tez.
You understand what I'm saying?
Can't be.
Yeah, I understand. So I had to get the look. And I'm glad. My wife even understood that because she saw my other friend, who's part owner of Open Mic Production. He drives a Maserati. And she's like, okay, now I understand why you guys drive these cars, because artists don't take you guys seriously if you don't drive nice cars. If you don't drive their dream car, how can you make their dreams come true? So I needed to paint myself as that as well, and also give myself more credibility than the labels, like the major labels. So I needed artists to trust that we can trust Nota to tell us the truth. These other guys, we can trust them to sign us to slave deals. So I needed to separate myself so I could promote independence. And by promoting independence, I was making that sacrifice myself, because it meant that I'm foregoing this 140 whatever thousand rands that they wanted to pay me per month at Sony to be there. And I'm deciding I'm foregoing that. I'm living off of whatever it is that I make, just off my intellectual property and my savings and everything else. And I'm building my brand. So I'm reinvesting in my brand. So when it came to now having the legal challenges, the lawsuits, all of that was part of the PR run. I spent maybe, 700,000 on legal fees so far. Probably owe my lawyers.
Being sued for having a big mouth.
Yeah, I owe my lawyers probably currently, right now, we're recording this on the 12th of January. Is it the 12th of January today?
I believe so.
Today is the 12th of January. It's
2023.
It's the 5th anniversary of the day that I finalized the arrangement on my wife's first independent single, which led to her first SAMA Award win for an album of hers, which was independently released on her own label.
Well done to both of you.
Yeah. But unfortunately.
Sorry, you were speaking about how much you owe your lawyer.
No, I was talking about how much I didn't get paid for my Samro check because that arrangement was not credited in that song. Neither was it credited on her first number one either. So I owe my lawyers, I think, another 60,000. I have to pay maybe another 150,000 rands. No, less than 150,000 rands. I have to pay another 125,000 rands for the court judgment, and then they're still judging the legal fees, which they've said are at 248,000 rands, which, I find hard to believe, but the court will determine whether that is the case. And then they'll deduct whatever tax needs to be deducted, and then you pay the legal fees after they've been taxed. So in essence, that's another 300,000 rands probably that I'll have to pay before the end of this financial year. And for me, that's like the limit of my war chest that I'm spending on legal challenges. So that's why I didn't need...
So you're going to keep quiet moving forward.
So that's why I didn't need a Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't need the temptation. I'd be like, you know what? Even if I delete the app, I might get tempted. So let me rather make sure that my account is suspended.
What is the official reason that Twitter gave you now for suspending you?
No, I did all the violations that you need to do. I did the violations.
Hate speech,
I don't
racism.
know what no, I didn't do any hate speech. I didn't do those ones. Because those ones will make sure that your account is permanently. But I said some things that I know that people will report me for. I made people report me. Yes, I made people report me. I went at Mihlali because I knew that she's going to pay people to report me. I went at Nsiki. I said, no, okay, those people are going to report me. And if those people report me, that's exactly the fan base that I want to be the ones that celebrate. Oh, yes, we got him suspended. Because they are going to now get my manosphere fan base to be like, yeah, it's fine. Suspend him, it's fine. Some London.
Andrew Tate was Mzansi.
Some London Luzuma. You understand what I'm saying? If Andrew Tate is doing it and it's working, why would I break it? If it's
we're creating a funny culture in this country of suing each other. It wasn't a culture before, and I don't think people even knew about it. Don't you think that's dangerous? Especially considering how expensive legal assistance is in this country.
It's a good thing that people are actually now going to legal assistance and are paying the money. At first, people didn't want to spend the money. Me, I knew that I'm going to spend this money, however, 700,000 rands. But dude, if you look at my brand right now, like countrywide.
But is it monetizable?
Yes, of course.
With who?
Dude.
Don't you get cancelled and no one wants to work with you?
Dog, they can't not work with me. I put myself in a position where I am a gatekeeper. Do you understand? I decide who makes it. They can't not work with me.
This is behind the scenes.
Everybody, yes.
Things we don't know.
Yeah, well, you know that. You see it. You see it. You know that if I say this person is not credible, they lose credibility. Because they trust you. Because the public trusts
the authority.
I built trust with the public. I didn't try and build favor with the celebrities. No. I went to CBD Twitter, the people that you don't care about. And I said, I'm yours. Understand? And I gave them power. I gave them credibility. I gave them access. I gave them all my resources. I availed myself.
Do you think you're the highest?
Now you got Chris Excel promoting the Women's Cricket World Cup. Do you hear what I'm saying? You got Chris Excel.
I hear you.
The biggest misogynist catfish on Twitter promoting the Women's Cricket World Cup. And that's the only reason why people talk about the Women's Cricket World Cup on Twitter. Is because Chris Excel is the only person that can get it trending.
Do you think you were the highest trending person in South Africa last year?
I was trending every single month. I did that deliberately. I did that intentionally.
But you can't monetize that.
And I did it organically. I monetized it a lot. What do you mean? My brand is
How does a normal person monetize trending on Twitter? A normal person, not you.
A normal person, like when you become influential, you can influence people, and then brands pay you to do things.
Even if it's trending for the supposed wrong reasons.
The things that I'm not influenced in terms of influencing Omo.
But not you. I mean, a normal person.
I understand that, right? Yeah. So it's in different stages. So for me, the way I had my influence is that I influence the psyche of human beings.
Yeah.
The political consciousness of young people is something that I am not only contributing to, but I am influencing. And that is a very powerful tool that decides who is incumbent in power. And therefore, they need people like me to influence people to get their votes, to get the power. And people like me, right, know how to trade that power. Bill Gates trades that power the same way. You understand? Donald Trump was not fitting into Bill Gates's mission.
Yeah.
Right? And so what did he do? He made sure that Donald Trump is removed as president. He lobbied and put Biden.
You think Bill Gates is that powerful?
Of course he is.
Is it not just the face of other people that are hidden in the shadows?
No, he is the shadow. That's Microsoft. So if Microsoft gives us all the software for all the spreadsheets, for all the governments, for every single thing, all our data is Microsoft.
But you think that's Bill Gates and he's not just the face?
That's power. That's power. That means Saudi Aramco. All that oil, all those billions are counted on what? On Excel.
Does this also make Jeff Bezos powerful with AWS?
I mean, AWS is Amazon Web Services, which is the cloud interface, right? Which was
they have government data, CIA data,
by the Pentagon,
big company.
which was created by the Pentagon. It was invented by the Pentagon. They are the private company that gives it a private face so that it doesn't look.
But that's what I'm saying. Isn't Jeff Bezos just the face of?
So basically, can the Pentagon come to South Africa as a sovereign company and say, we as the Pentagon are coming to South Africa as a sovereign company, we want to open up an e-commerce business?
They can't.
So
and it would look inappropriate.
So who do they send?
A face.
Jeff.
Isn't Bill Gates a face?
That's exactly. But either way, whether he's the face or not, that guy's got the power. Where did he get that power? He got that power from IBM. How did he get the power from IBM? His mother was on the board of IBM. IBM, biggest computer company. Microsoft, the biggest software company. The biggest customer is IBM. His mother's on the board. It's nepotism. It's corruption. That's the reason why he got all these billions. And because IBM was intrinsically tied into the business, just the computer systems of the entire world. You must remember, IBM is a Nazi company. You know? Yeah.
You're going to get cancelled for real.
Oh, where?
Bucharest in Romania.
Because he chose to be in a corrupt country like Romania instead of a corrupt country like South Africa, where at least there's legal recourse. You can get bail and stuff like that. You should have come to South Africa. In South Africa, he would have been arrested maybe.
You can negotiate your
crimes.
But
at least you can get out. You can get out. You can pay your way out. I mean, that's what I did when the cops came to arrest me. Hey, you think I was going to go and sit inside the court? No. I made sure that my lawyer sorts out the prosecutor. The prosecutor said, no, we're not prosecuting this. The file is thrown out and everything else. I don't want my records to be out there in the courts, to have been on the court roll. I don't even want to be on the court roll. I was completely expunged. It cost me 15,000 rands.
I'm not going to discuss your legal matters because next thing I'm on an affidavit somewhere. Do you think Cyril and Patrice are powerful?
I mean, I did it in cash, so there's no paper trail for it.
There's paper trail because you are kuluma.
I never said any names. I never named how many prosecutors are there.
Do you think Cyril and Patrice are powerful?
Of course, they're powerful. They're powerful in terms of what they represent.
Because a lot of people criticize them.
But they're puppets.
That's where I'm going.
Now, being a puppet doesn't mean that you're not powerful.
Okay.
You are given puppets. You're given power because of those strings that you're attached to. But either way, you've got power. That's power. You've got that power. You can exercise that power over someone who doesn't have that power. And who has given you those power? It's the puppet masters.
That was my question, because a lot of people have criticized Cyril and Patrice for being puppets. A whole lot of other black billionaires. And
all of them are puppets.
I've asked before, when you look at the Johann Ruperts, the Nicky Oppenheimers, are they not the faces of a Rothschilds or other people elsewhere? I mean, look at Rupert and his links to luxury goods, which is Swiss, French, etc.
Same thing.
So then you start asking about Jeff Bezos, Nabo Elon, and maybe an Elon losing 200 billion. It's because maybe it's frustrating certain people and they're like, no, man.
It's because of the ESG credits that he lost.
What is ESG? If you can explain it in
environmental, social governance, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that to a normal person?
Environmental or social governance, I don't know. It's like basically companies need to protect the environment.
Yeah.
They need to contribute to society positively. Yeah. And they need to have certain governance protocols that don't involve them in businesses that either are involved in trafficking, slave labor, etc., etc. So all the companies on the New York Stock Exchange and all stock exchanges around the world, or the Western world, right, have got these ESG scores. And those ESG scores basically put them on different indexes. So you can be taken out. You can be one of the top 500 companies on the New York Stock Exchange, but be taken out of the S&P 500 because you don't meet the ESG score.
Sure. You understand? A lot of billionaires I've met hate that ESG score.
Which means that the S&P 500
BE for them.
Which means that the S&P 500 is now the 500 approved companies and not the 500 best performing companies, which is actually what it's supposed to be.
Which is why a lot of guys are private. The Cargills of this world, the Koch brothers, they don't want to go through all of that rubbish.
Well, if you're putting yourself on
public markets. And maybe why the Oppenheimers went private as well in this country.
Yeah, that's it. You don't want to be scrutinized.
Yeah.
And so in this country, all these businesses are apartheid profiteers. The first thing we should be doing is nationalizing, taxing them, making them pay reparations. But we're not doing that.
Who's we, the government?
No, we as the people of South Africa.
People have no power.
And that's exactly why Cyril and them have power. They have power to make sure that the people have no power. ANC is in place to make sure that the people have no power. The ANC is in the business of privatizing the state. Why? Yes. Why is that? Okay, well, you follow the money. You don't listen to what the ANC says. You listen to what the ANC does. The ANC's investments are in state-owned companies. Chancellor House is invested in everything. Tebe Investments is invested in media companies, all that type of stuff.
Those two companies fund the ANC. People don't know. Chancellor House and
so
Tebe.
Now, if Chancellor House is a joint venture shareholder in all these new Hitachi power stations, how does Chancellor House make money if the ANC has no money? They need to exit, which means they need to sell.
Sure.
And selling means selling state-owned enterprises. You understand? So basically, the ANC's funding model is privatization. That is how the ANC needs to survive. For the ANC to be able to pay salaries, it needs to privatize. For the ANC to be a going concern, it needs to privatize. So if you're voting for the ANC, you're voting for privatization because that is actually their business model.
Sure.
Whether they knew that going in or whether they were duped, we don't know. We can't prove that. It's classified information currently while they're still incumbent.
Sure.
But once we remove them, we can actually find out how they sold this country, and then we can criminalize that.
Sure.
Yes, because we can change those laws, and then we can undo the damage that they've done. And then we can use that as a precedent of how the state gets captured if there's too much power given to one party. And that is the process that South Africa will need to undergo. But the only way we can undergo that process is if we increase the political consciousness of our population. And we need to conscientize people, and we need to share information. So we need to be having these conversations and keep having these conversations, because these conversations spark dinner table conversations. There isn't a family in South Africa that wasn't discussing the content that you, myself, and all the other people that have contributed to, the new content that's online right now, the independent media, that wasn't at the dinner table this Christmas.
Sure.
Each and every single family.
And I've gotten intel that even at the highest levels, some of these conversations have been had.
You understand? So it's having an influence. And if
is that part of your responsibility?
It's part of all our responsibilities.
You in particular as an authority, to conscientize the people so that they can wake up.
Yeah, it is a responsibility that I've taken on.
Isn't that dangerous? Isn't that what might get you taken out? And you said you want to live.
It's the same thing that will protect me.
Okay.
And if I get taken out, it's the same thing that will protect my ideas. So I need to ensure that whatever I do, my ideas are protected. And that means I can't compromise myself. I can't put my life above my mission. Yeah. And which is actually the cause of the fight between my wife and I, is that she feels I'm going to get us killed. I'm going to get myself killed, and she'll be there, and then she'll die because she's next to me.
It's a fair concern.
They won't kill a woman.
I hear you, but from a female perspective, you don't want to catch stray bullets because my husband has got a too big mouth.
So that's the thing. So I mean, that was her problem. So she thought stray bullets would mean that her music doesn't get played on radio. Your husband is too powerful. Your husband is too powerful for the radio guys to even consider that.
You told her that?
Their kids will not go to school.
Ark.
So, they wouldn't do that. And I've built relationships with these guys over 21 years in the business. You understand?
Sure.
Yeah. So, 21 years of relationship, we bury bodies for each other.
Alternative media. What's your thoughts on the current vodcasting industry in South Africa? We used to call it podcasting, but I realized I don't think we're a nation of podcasters. I don't think people listen to audio the way they do in America.
No, it's because people consume YouTube.
Yes.
Because YouTube has got all the content that they want.
100%.
So now, what I think is this, is that what are you guys not seeing about our content? If you give people the content that they want, people don't subscribe to Apple Music because the latest Amapiano songs are on YouTube and not on Apple Music. Because the only songs that are on Apple Music are the ones that are released by the labels or the distributed artists. So people know the hottest songs are the ones that are on YouTube in the mixes. So people don't bother getting Apple Music. Why? Because Apple Music is for those people who want to listen to international music as well as Amapiano.
Sure.
If you look at the chart on Apple Music, the top 10 is almost all local. That wasn't the case when I started in the industry. That's something we had to fight for. We had to fight for people to love local. We had to fight for people to reject Americanism.
Danke Hlaudi. Motsweneng.
Well, who made Hlaudi do that? It was me. That open letter that I sent. Yes. Gave him the political capital to say, okay, fine. The youth are protesting. They're saying we must give 90% local. You understand? I got that. I used social media to do that because I knew that Hlaudi would pull the strings. And then he did that. I CC'd the entire board when I sent that email. I sent that email to the board and then I sent it to Twitter and then I made it trend. So then they were like, why is this trending? Oh, it's already in our inbox. Oh, let's read it. Oh, this has got a point. We can score some political points. Let's give these kids 90%. Then they'll always support us. And guess what?
The kids didn't protect them when Hlaudi was
we
gone.
couldn't protect him. We couldn't protect him from losing his job. But look at his legacy right now. Sure. There isn't one artist that hasn't thanked Hlaudi for changing everything for all of us.
Yeah.
He's a legend for that. And even if he goes down as the guy who was fired at the helm of SABC, he'll go down as the guy who made sure that our industry survives. The TV industry, people enjoying local content more than any other time. He's the person that changed our minds. He brainwashed South Africans into loving South African content. And now South Africa is about to be a world leader in music and film. Yes, we are about to be a world leader. I don't know about
film. I know music with Amapiano.
But either way.
Okay.
That will lead to film because the music leads to music videos. That's the film. It conscientizes people to certain images and then that goes into longer form and then it becomes film. It becomes cinema.
Do you think Amapiano is conscientizing South Africans?
Yes.
The content?
Yes. Everything
like
is
hip hop?
There. Everything is there. Everything. Our secrets are there. The things that we're doing on the side are there inside the music. Our deepest feelings, our insecurities, they're there in the music. They're there. You are hearing about the guys crying about the blessers that are taking their girlfriends.
Sure.
You're hearing about the guys that are saying, yo, I don't have money, so now no one looks at me as if I'm anything.
Sure.
You're hearing the Nanatulas. You're hearing everything. And it's all there. And sometimes it repulses us what our society has become. And when we listen to that, we can't reject the music because it's a reflection of society. Us being repulsed by what society has become does not change society, does not improve it. You know, unless we actually intentionally say, okay, fine, this is something that we want to change. So those artists are exposing that.
What do you think of our vodcasting industry? Especially 2022, I think was a decent year. Yeah. Shout out to Podcast and Chill because they kind of
they broke down the barriers, they broke down the doors, you know, and they survived. That was the most important thing. The most important thing was for them to survive and to keep that team unit together.
Sure.
And that was it. Whatever it cost, whatever it took, we needed to make sure that we keep them together. And also, what I'm really glad about is that the rest of the industry also supported that.
Yeah.
You know, there was no one, like when it looked like things might get tricky, there was no one trying to tear that unit apart. Everyone was in an effort, guys, protect this thing.
Sure.
This thing is valuable. You guys don't understand the value of this. Protect this thing. And, you know, I think that...
You were accused of potentially splitting or bringing in some external animosity in that space.
Nah, I was highlighting what was already there.
Yeah.
What it was already there that could break them apart. So I highlighted that. I made them have to confront it.
Okay.
And they confronted it and they were able to overcome it. I made sure that's reverse psychology. You know, sometimes you can't force a man to do something by telling them what to do. You can force them by making them understand what not to do.
Okay. Do you think the industry is healthy? Do you think we can grow to a global level? And do you think we have the type of talent that can go international?
So you look at what happened with Twitter, Black Twitter.
Yeah.
This South African podcasting, this is the black voices. Because podcasting in America is very much white. And black people don't have the voice or the audience for that. They don't have the numbers for it.
And I understand what you mean.
And in South
Africa, I find the black podcasters normally talk about relationships and things in America, but not so much really heavy substance issues.
Progressive issues.
Yeah.
Issues that are going to take us forward. You know, we're not even thinking about going to space as black people, as Africans. There's not even an African space program. Yes, we've got satellites, square kilometer array, all that type of stuff. Yes, we can map. Yeah, we can map, but we're not going there.
We also can't even say that's black, but I hear you.
You understand? So if a comet is coming to hit Earth, we can't do anything about it as black people. The Arabs are doing it. UAE is doing it. The Asians are doing it. Japan has been doing it. China is doing it. You know what I mean? The Russians have been doing it. You know, even though they can't launch right now, the European Space Agency launches from Kazakhstan anyway. So the Europeans launch from the Russian or the Soviet space infrastructure. You know, we don't have any space infrastructure. What we need is a spaceport in Namibia. A spaceport in Namibia means that when they start mining Mars, because that's the real reason why they're going to Mars, they're not going there to send civilization there. You're not going to send billions of people to Mars. It's fucking impossible.
Avatar,
okay?
Don't look up.
Forget about that. What they're doing
Avatar,
is that
don't look up, are big on mining planets.
Yes, they're mining that planet. What they've been doing to us is proving to us that there's no life there, so that we accept it. We've been trying forever. How many years have we been trying to find Mars? I mean, life on Mars. We haven't found it, right?
Sure.
Guys, so there's no life on it, guys. We can give up on that. So let's mine this motherfucker. No one's going to miss it. You can't even see it in the sky. You know what I mean? It's not like it's the moon.
Sure.
And what do we use the moon for? As a base to process whatever minerals we get from Mars, process them on the moon, and then we send them back down to Earth. But there's no spaceport in Namibia to make sure that those minerals come to South Africa first. So those minerals are coming to the countries that have got capital. And how do these countries that have got capital control the world? Well, people always say, no, the manufacturing is going to China because of cheap labor. It's got nothing to do with labor at all. The labor is inconsequential. In fact, let me show you how inconsequential it is, the labor. Amazon is firing 15,000 workers, right? Just for the announcement. They hired 480,000 workers.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I saw Amazon fired. I saw Facebook.
Since 2020, they've hired 480,000 workers. They're only firing 15,000 now. The announcement, Amazon is not defending. Yeah, but we actually hired.
Sure.
You know, whatever. 465,000 workers. We actually hired that many workers. It's just that we're firing 15,000 now.
Sure.
No. They're not saying that. Why is they not saying that? Because the firing of 15,000 workers is about the shareholders. It's about telling the shareholders that, listen, we can expect that the share price is going to come down. But stay invested. Don't sell your stock because we're doing something. We just fired 15,000 workers. Oh, you fired 15,000 workers? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to keep my stock in. It's a trick to the market.
Okay.
It's inconsequential in terms of, like, I'm firing 15,000 of 480,000 workers that I just hired. You know, it's almost inconsequential. And if you look at the work that they do, you know, it doesn't really move the needle. So it's all about making sure that they've got a market value, a market cap to access finance for expansion. So our market value, this is our share price, this is the value. Now we can go to the banks and we can get money to do other things we can leverage. That is all it's about. So it's not about the actual restructuring of the company. So Amazon is not restructuring. They're just saving their stock price because they're publicly traded. So now you look at a country like America, right? How do they control the world? They control the world because they made us give them all our gold reserve, and then we exchange them for dollar reserves. So now our currency is backed by the dollar instead of gold under the Bretton Woods system, right? Fiat currency is everything. All the trade that we need to do needs to be dollar-based. All the financing that we get is dollar-based. If you look at these big capital countries, these manufacturing countries, the export countries, what is their interest rate? It's either 0 or negative. So the real interest rate in Japan is negative. The real interest rate in America is less than 2%. In Europe, less than 1%. So they've got finance and they own the finances. They print this money and they pay the least interest rates. And what does that do? It allows them to capitalize. And what does that capital buy them? It buys them scale. And that's scale that we cannot compete with. So South Africa cannot make its own microchips. Why? Because it costs trillions of dollars to make microchips. And we don't have trillions of dollars, because if we wanted trillions of dollars, we'd have to get them from the United States. And then guess what? It doesn't matter about the interest rate. Doesn't matter. The interest rate is irrelevant. That's a secondary thing. Because what would they do to give us those trillions of dollars? They'd print them. That's all they need to do. You understand what I'm saying? So why would they print money so that we can build a factory, so that we can have semiconductors, so that they can't export products to us? They won't do that. So that's why we are charged these exorbitant interest rates.
Do you think a country like South Africa, a continent like Africa, will ever be able to compete?
No.
In a money world?
No.
And number two, you mentioned Amazon. I saw the same thing with Facebook and Meta and some other tech companies in America. Do you not think we're beginning the shift towards heavy retrenchment and moving towards automation and robots.
But I just told you that there's no retrenchments that are happening.
I hear you with the Amazon, but my question still stands.
The robots are not for Earth. The robots are for Mars. You're not going to send human beings that are going to sit inside a spaceship as if they're in a womb. It takes 9 months to get to Mars. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to be in that spaceship for 9 months as a grown Penuel.
Sure.
You've got other things that you can do with your life.
Sure.
Instead of risking your life to be claustrophobic and everything else.
You don't think there's an agenda to destroy employment on the planet, this planet?
I mean, you don't need to destroy employment because employment is the worst thing that has ever happened to us. It killed craftsmanship. Your dad used to make shoes. He doesn't make shoes anymore. Why? Because he stitches them in a factory. I'm not saying that that's what your dad did, but I'm just saying if your dad used to make shoes, all he does now is stitch.
My concern is a robot is going to even replace that.
No, a robot is going to now allow your dad to make shoes because he can design the shoe and then get the robot to do all the labor. And now he can be a craftsman again. He's got a tool. Just the same way I've got these 200 slaves inside this in terms of the amount of electrical power and computation power. That's the same thing as a robot. You'll have the 200 slaves, computation power, the AI brain, which multiplies it by,
So you don't think we're going to lose jobs?
I don't think that we need jobs. I think we need professions. And I think that we're going to lose jobs as a net good, not as a net loss.
If you look in South Africa with the people...
It's a net benefit to the world.
If you look at the people in South Africa that colonization happened, where we were living off the land, and then we were convinced that jobs were the thing.
We weren't convinced. We're forced. So
let me finish this point. So we were forced into jobs, the mines, the factories, the farms. Yeah. And now today it's the big buzzword, employment. But we've got rampant unemployment now. And my hope was that over time, the unemployed will eventually become creative and start creating.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
And my concern is if we lose more employment we don't need, do we really think the craftsmen are going to come back? Are they not going to become zombies who are so heavily dependent on the state that they will literally do anything?
And that's why
I'll suck your dick, man.
That's why we're re-educating them with this content. We're actually showing them that these jobs are not essential. We're showing them that Penuel does not drive a Maserati because he does not want some white man to decide whether his family eats at the end of the month or not.
Sure.
Because he behaved and he met the KPIs. Understand what I'm saying? He does his own thing. So he lives a minimal life and he's able to do and create.
Without fear and limitation.
And the more you are able to do that and they see that it doesn't kill you, the more the brainwashing that tells them that if you don't get a job, you're dead.
Sure.
Will then dissipate. So we just need to continue what we're doing. We're inspiring people. We're making people unemployable. I'm an unemployable. You can't employ me. Yeah. Where can you employ me where I'm not smarter than you? You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, if you went to university, you can't be smarter than me if you went to university. I built businesses. I got 20 years in experience in that.
Rather ask me for a job.
You understand what I'm saying?
Rather give me your CV.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so you worked at Investec. Why? Because your dad made sure that you got a bursary and someone gave you a job and now you watch other people's money. I watch my own money. I make my own money. So, that's
your hope is that the robots will help us advance and not necessarily destroy society further.
You just need to get yourself to a point where you can afford your own robot.
Do you think we have a problem in this country politically? We went from 19 million grant recipients when they added the social relief for distress. Yet 350, we've gone up to close to 30 million.
We've got the biggest subscription program is now grants. 30 million, it's bigger than Vodacom subscribers. Yeah, in fact, it's bigger than broadband subscription in Nigeria.
Jeez. 30 million people on a grant in this country.
Which means that there's 30 million people that are on a grant that are the same amount of people that's Matthew McKenzie.
Those are your slaves calling you, saying, boss, you have abandoned us. Please come back and switch on your phone.
He's an 18-year-old beat maker.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I have not abandoned him. I'm busy with Penuel.
You speak about the subscription.
Yeah. So that's the biggest subscription
spaces.
It's overtaken ARVs. No, I mean, that was the biggest subscription. Sorry, let me just let him know.
Sure.
Mac, I'm in a shoot. I'm in a shoot. I'll call you back just now.
All right,
cool. So,
more than ARVs, dude. These 30 million people that literally almost cannot survive without government, without the ANC, without tax money, which comes from about 3 to 5 million people.
It comes from 7% of the population, which is now providing, survival mechanism for 50% of the population.
It's not destructive?
It's unsustainable. It's an untenable situation. And the fact that they're even suggesting universal basic income as a solution is just making the matter even worse. You're exacerbating the issue. The fact that they're even now, I'd rather, instead of universal basic income, we have national health insurance rather. I'd rather we do that. We give people actual services that they need. I'd rather we have a national food fund or food banks rather, so that we can save money in medical interventions with proper nutrition.
That doesn't feed capitalism though. Capitalism needs you to be destroyed, destructive, depressed, hate yourself, think you're ugly.
And guess what capitalism did? It made sure that women can't even feed their kids. I told you about that, right? Abbott Labs. They're the biggest supplier of baby formula. Guess what else Abbott Labs makes? Rapid tests. Guess what they did 2 months ago? They burnt all their stock. They burnt their stock. So they only kept audit inventory. Why?
This is a conspiracy, right?
It's not a conspiracy. This is actually what happened.
Abbott available Labs, online.
You can check it right now. Abbott Labs, they burnt it. They burnt their stock. And guess what? Now we've got Kraken, which means there needs to be an order of new tests, because now we need...
Kraken is the new variant
of COVID.
Yes,
the new variant of COVID, this variant that's come from Omicron. So now, because there's a new variant out, but they built up stockpiles of tests so that if there's a new variant or anything else, we've got the stockpiles. They burnt those stockpiles because capitalism says, listen, if a new variant comes out and we've got all these stockpiles, our price is going to be so little.
Sure.
We're not going to be able to make a super profit. And it seems like this COVID thing is coming to its tail end. This is probably our last cash grab.
Sure.
So that's exactly what they did.
You believe there's evil people in the world that will do whatever it takes to become rich and powerful? If they exist, how do good people stop them?
I believe that capitalism is a monster. I believe that capitalism is a monster, and that unrestrained, it is destructive. It will consume itself. And that's the thing, is that you need to control this monster that's called capitalism. You need to put reins on it. And we haven't been able to control this monster that is capitalism. And that's why it does self-destructive things, like making women unable to feed their own children and making them unable to bear children because they have a fear that they might not be able to provide formula, even though they've got breast milk, which is even better for their children.
Sure.
You understand? So they've got a mind virus that tells them that their breast milk is toxic.
Sure.
And that is it. It's something in their head that tells them that their breast milk is toxic. Now they need to buy this formula, which is exorbitant, from a company that doesn't even care enough to ensure that that is not toxic. And then they find that, no, there's toxic chemicals that are inside this Abbott's lab, the asbestos ones that they found in the
Is Abbott under Nestle? You don't know?
No, they produce for Nestle.
I know they produce for Nestle. Because I remember Nestle had a lot of lawsuits for formula at some point.
Yes, because they're one of the biggest formula, I think, Nestle Parmalat, they're, one of the biggest companies. Yeah.
And Johnson & Johnson with their baby powder.
You understand? So Abbott Labs had the same problem. So when Abbott Labs needed to close their formula producing factories because of the asbestos that was found, they produce 70% of the formula in the fucking country. Even though they produce it for 4 different companies. They produce 70% of it.
Sure.
Take them out of the market. Monopoly. It is a monopoly.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So Abbott Labs has got a monopoly on baby formula and have got a monopoly on the tests.
Are you not a capitalist?
No.
What are you?
I'm a human being.
Okay.
Who's existing in a capitalist system, and who understands that you need to rein in the capitalist system so that it doesn't run you over.
Should we be conscientizing people to live with nature, or Avatar and some of these other eco-friendly movies?
Of course, I cried in Avatar because of what was happening to nature, and also because I've got a younger brother. So when I saw the older brother dying, and Prince Harry is got this book Spare, and then being an older brother, you wouldn't understand that. It's a conversation I'll have to have with Penson. But it's tough.
Yeah.
Because number one, the first thing that we get taught before you guys get even taught how to speak is that if you fail in school, this guy's in your grade next year. Number one. So already, first thing, I'm competing against this nigga that's coming after me. You understand? By the time you turn 18, your brother Penson is looking at you and thinking, your growth spurt better stop before mine did.
So Penson is 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
But I understand because
who's your older brother?
Mubi and
Who's your older brother?
who's Domniana, so
No,
you'd
who's your
assume
older
he's older.
Who's your older brother?
No, I'm kidding. Look, I'm the eldest.
Okay, you're the eldest. Okay,
Yeah.
so my bad. I flipped you guys
No,
around.
it's
So
chilled. I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, but that's the whole entire point of being an older brother. So I know that from my experience, not from your experience, but you'd relate to that as an older brother then you'd understand that the pressure of being an older brother is a lot. You have to be perfect. And now your little brother's like, oh, because you're the perfect one. No, nigga. Like, I have to be this guy.
I can't fuck up.
Like, you understand what I'm saying? Otherwise, the whole entire family is fucked.
Yeah.
And you don't have these responsibilities that I have. They haven't given you these responsibilities. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be on coke and whatever. Do all that shit. You understand? And then you can write a book about how my big brother beat me up. Yes, I'm gonna beat your fucking ass up. Because you understand, our family is worth 47 billion and you're a fucking cokehead going after Hollywood hoes, you know, who've been run through.
That's harsh.
By Harvey Weinstein and everybody else. You understand? And now you bring her here into the royal household and now she's bringing our family down. So I am going to hold you. Do you understand? I am going to hold you. You're going to catch hands. The same hands you caught when you were a baby. Yes, you're going to catch those hands. You stay catching those hands. These hands you'll keep catching for the rest of your life because I'm your big brother. So
shout out to my brother because Penson understands that better than most. He's like, he tells everyone, my brother broke down fences. I could bring girls home because this nigga got a whooping for bringing a girl home. I've got freedoms that other guys wouldn't have. So shout out to my brother for at least having the intelligence. He's the older brother I never had, by the way.
Seriously.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, well, I have a younger brother. But, you know, I just prefer to be his inspiration.
Ark.
Yeah, because, you know, he's a grown man. He's a man. So men are stubborn. So I know myself, I cannot be convinced. So I don't even try to convince him. I just show him that, dude, everywhere you go, you are my brother.
You speak about Avatar and moving into nature. And you mentioned too that you cried because obviously the older brother passes. The good older brother who's such a great role model and the fucking rubbish thing.
Little brother.
Anyway, sorry. Going into nature.
You understand? And that's the thing about nature.
Fuck, is such a disappointment.
You understand? But that's the...
Yes, and all of us like that gent.
Dog. We liked him, dog. And...
Fuck's sakes.
You know?
Sorry.
For the whole
moving
family.
Into nature.
But that's nature. Nature's about protecting your family. You understand? You have to protect the family. I'm
talking more about moving away from capitalism.
You have to do away with the convenience. You have to do away with the sugar. You have to do away with the dopamine. We have to take the difficult decisions. And the difficult decisions mean that this consumption economy that we feel is necessary to keep civilization going is going to kill humanity.
Yeah.
It's anti-civilization. It's uncivilized. It's savage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Mr. Beast did a poll on his Twitter. And he said, would you take $10,000 if some random person on earth would die? And I think most people said yes.
At least they were honest, because all of us are doing it every day. At least they were honest.
But isn't that scary? That's the world that we live in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's very few of us who actually care about the rest of the world. I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? If I knew that me taking $10,000 would mean people die. I mean, I didn't take $150,000 because I was signing people to deals that will make their mothers come to me when they're dead. Because that's what happens with these artists. They sign bad deals and then something happens to them and then their mothers come crying, oh, my son, and it's like, hey, man, your son should have come to me, could have taken my advice. Now it's too late and you don't know anything about this business. So obviously all you'll have are tears. And there's nothing I can do to console you. I can't make it better. You know? So
are we not all complicit in financial and economic oppression and bondage by living within this capitalist system and having some form of privilege? Cobalt,
but
Nestle products,
you guys worked for the banks. You guys worked for all these institutions. You guys understand how those institutions work, and then you go into the same communities, you live with the same people, and you don't give them that knowledge. Why?
But if you give them the knowledge, it takes away your privilege.
No, it doesn't take away your privilege. It takes away your job.
That's your privilege.
It's not your privilege. It's your bondage.
And that's
the thing. That's your bondage. It's not a privilege.
Isn't that the $10,000 for death?
That's your bondage. That's the thing, is that you see it as a privilege. It's not privilege. It's a bondage. If you are attached to your image out there in the public, you're a slave to that. You're working for that. You're working to keep up appearances. You're paying an installment so that people look at you nicely.
Sure.
You understand? So that is the bondage. And the only way to get out of bondage is to actually see it for what it is. This is bondage. For me to see that if these guys are paying me every 2 months, $250,000 rand, what am I sacrificing? They're willing to do that. Hey, which means that I must be worth a lot more.
Sure.
Personally, myself. You understand? Other people aren't able to do that, to make that decision. And for me, it's like, I can't have some kid saying, yeah, clean, that's Nota, he works for such and such a company. My ego won't allow that to do. Like,
that's another form of bondage. You must kill that ego,
You work
man.
for Sony?
Kill that ego, man.
You work for Universal? You work for Warner?
You're their bitch.
You understand? I don't work for any of those motherfuckers. Those motherfuckers pay me what they owe me. Yes.
How do you feel about lawyers? I have issues with lawyers. And I'm saying this in reference to Kanye West. We can't discuss Kanye because these platforms are not ours. But just the concept of there are certain groups in the world that have monopolized spaces like the law and the banks.
No,
and
the Jews. What do I feel about Jews? Yes. So what I feel about Jews is this.
This is why as people don't want to catch stray bullets next to you.
No, it's fine.
How do you feel about lawyers? I was listening to you speak about your cases.
I'm going to talk about
how
lawyers.
expensive lawyers are.
I want to talk about lawyers. Yeah,
Sure.
But it's not just about lawyers.
Okay.
It's about Jews. Jews were the dirty whites. And because they were the dirty whites, they were the only whites that could give blacks access to services we didn't have access to. They were the whites that were our doctors when we didn't have black doctors. They were the whites that were our accountants when black people weren't allowed to be accountants. They were the whites that registered businesses for blacks when blacks weren't allowed to register businesses. You understand? So
like
the Sam
people.
Cooks, and over the years, that is good intentions.
Yeah.
But obviously they did that because it was a business opportunity for them.
Sure.
And that business opportunity, right, needs to be protected going forward. You understand? Because their children might not have the same sensibilities as their parents or grandparents who established this for them.
Yeah.
So they need to ensure that even if we're no longer here to teach these children how we got about this position, right, we need to ensure that it's protected.
Sure.
And that's exactly what they've done.
Pieces of paper called contracts, intellectual property,
And they're the
earning
ones-
money into perpetuity.
and they control it. They control the intellectual property of the best creators of art in the world, which is African Americans currently. The best art, the most exploited art in the world is African American art.
Yeah.
Currently, you know, prior to that, it was just normal African art, which Picasso copied and turned into paintings.
That is true. I saw something about that.
It's-
Besides the
it's
fact
a
that
fact.
they stole our art and put
Well,
them in museums.
those weren't artifacts. Those weren't artifacts. Those were actually things of worship. Those are worship implements and all those things. We didn't treat them as artifacts. Those things weren't on display. Those things
For
have
us to
purposes.
just- oh, so pretty.
That thing is not, that mask
To the
it's not
function.
just a mask. It's not sitting there in jail.
To the
It's got a
function.
function. It's got a spiritual reason for existence.
Yeah.
You understand? It's got a design. And that's it. So they took away our ability to have agency over our own design and how our positioning of our culture and our spirituality. And that killed our God. And because we didn't have a God, we descended into savagery. And that's the savagery that you see in Africa right now. And we're busy fighting our way out of it because even though they were able to kill our God, to many of our people, they weren't able to kill our God to all our people.
Sure.
And wherever he was able to survive, you know, those people weren't brainwashed. And now, when you look at the way South Africa is composed, and because we stayed in apartheid post colonialism, or post the abolishment of colonialism, when all the other colonies fell, we are much more depraved Africans than other Africans. But at the same time, we are much more privileged because we fought for longer and we've got more fight in us.
Okay.
Yeah. So as much as we are depraved, which means that we see less for ourselves, we desire less for ourselves, when we feel inferior, we fight. We don't just accept defeat. We say, it's fine, I'm not, but I'll fight. You know, rather let someone die than I feel defeated and inferior and useless, you know?
Sure.
And that's why we're such a violent country as well. And that's where that violence comes from, You know, the fact that we've been suppressed by the system so much.
You really think black South Africans are fighters?
Yeah.
More than other Africans?
I mean,
we don't travel.
Look at Zimbabwe. Look at Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe right now, the army is at its weakest. The police are at their weakest. If at any point in time they had a young population that could fight against the Zimbabwean brutality, right now is the perfect time. They're at their weakest. They're at their weakest. Like seriously. And the world is there, the social media, they can't even hide atrocities. This is the time to fight. And what do you find? They don't even want to fight. I had this fight with my wife. I was like, yo, you are privileged. You are living in South Africa. You've got a nice career. You've got everything here. But your brothers and sisters are struggling back home. Your people are here trying to force kids into school on ZEP permits when Zimbabwe's got better schools than South Africa. Sure. It's because people are brainwashed into thinking that they've got nothing back home to fight for. They're brainwashed into thinking that. You are a person who's risen to privilege in South Africa. Use that privilege to conscientize others because you're protected. Because you know that they can't shut down everything for you. They can't take away your house in South Africa.
Sure.
The Zimbabwean government doesn't have control over that. You understand? You're protected. And by marriage, you can acquire citizenship in South Africa as well. So you've got a second home.
You believe she's got a responsibility to do something back home?
She's got a responsibility.
And every other Zimbabwean in the country who's kind of...
Yes, who's living comfortably. You know, but you're not seeing that. You're seeing one guy who is compromised as well because he knows he can't say certain things that will offend the incumbent powers because then he won't be given a platform to speak fully. So he can speak about certain things like sanctions and everything else, but sanctions are not really what's killing Zimbabwe. Like for me, as a business person, there's so much opportunity because of the sanctions.
I hear you, and I fully understand.
Like there's so much opportunity. In Zim, I'm going to be making a lot of money in Zim this year.
Gonna go become a Jewish person. You're going to be the person that does the things
and
they
that's
can't.
what South Africans need to do. I mean, I'm doing that. I did that for my wife as well. By marrying her, that was part of me now allowing her to have the privileges of being a South African. You know, something that she didn't have prior to that.
Sure.
You know, and also that also allows me to now be part of a country that's got a bigger diaspora population than any other country in Southern Africa. Something that I couldn't have done within this region. You know, I'd have to marry a Nigerian where I don't have the social capital in West Africa. I would have to marry an Ethiopian where I don't have the social capital in East Africa.
Sure.
You know, so that's also that.
Do you believe in international breeding? So to speak, like not interracial, but across the continent.
You know, they say there's a definition of a power couple. So when I married my wife, I married her for power.
Okay.
Because I knew that would make us both more powerful. It would make me more powerful because she's a talented person, right? She's right within my arch in music. Anything that she needs, I can help her with. You know, there's no one more influential within the music industry than me as well. So her marrying me means that the most powerful guy who can shut down anything for her is on her side.
It's like Lira marrying her producer, manager, white gent.
Robin, my friend.
It was a good move for her in terms of her career.
My friend.
Okay.
So, and Lira's my wife's friend.
Sure. Continue.
No, let me leave it.
No.
It's very complicated. I was
asking about marrying and having children with Nigerians, Ethiopians. Do you believe in that?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what it's about. Yeah. Because I knew that if at any point in time my wife now decides that this guy's annoying me, I don't love him as much, she needs to think, if I lose him, I lose all potential to become a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to become. So, you know what I mean? And that's how it has to be. So that the feelings, the love, and the things that are based on our emotions and how we feel at that certain time, sometimes we are deranged. Sometimes we are going through a manic episode. Sometimes we are not ourselves.
Sure.
You know, those don't destabilize what we have as a relationship. And then also it gives me the impetus to know that I have to hold on to this because it also, not only does it sanitize me as a black man, because a single black man is not seen as of any value.
True.
It also gives me forced savings. A place where I know my wealth needs to go into here. I can't be spending my money frivolously, chasing skirts and stuff like that. So those are some of the things. So the love, the affection, and all of those things were secondary to that.
Sure.
And that was
a good way to build a marriage and a union, by the way.
Well, I had to do that because of the position that I've been in and in my life, right? sex is a power. Now, women use it a lot.
True.
You find it in the workplace. Women flirt all their way through the workplace just to make sure that guys believe that they've got a chance to have sex with them.
Sure.
And sometimes this leads to sexual harassment cases where a woman will be flirting with her boss and then doesn't give it up to the boss or leads him on, and then he's like, hey, this is a risk, and then he fires her, and then she says, oh no, this guy sexually harassed me, whatever, just because. But she knew deliberately she was using the fact that she's flirting with him to have power over him, to have favor. Men can also have that power. Powerful men also have that favor. You understand? We're desired by many women.
Sure.
Now, that is intimidating to a woman, especially a woman who knows that her brand, her image is about her being seen as a queen bee. You understand? So for my family or for myself, like as a young man, I cannot have anything that reduces my power or diminishes my powers or access to certain powers that I need to have all weapons at my disposal. And that meant that, when my wife decided that, she wants me to imncenge, I said, I can't do that because that would disempower me. If I disempower myself, I'm not as valuable to you. And then you're going to leave me for a nigga who's more valuable. You know what I mean? The only way I can make sure that you don't leave me is I make sure that any other nigga that you go for after me is lesser than me. That is it. Serena, your husband's a groupie. That is it. That is it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he's a billionaire, yes, fine, but it's not like every woman in the world is dying for him. Yet there are a lot of men that are dying to have Serena as their wife. You understand? My wife is now also got a man that women are dying to have. Every pop star in the country would rather be my wife than her. So everyone's targeting her. You understand? They don't like the fact that she's got all this influence and all this power, and all of it is in her family. You understand? Her husband is the one that decides whether these girls are hot or not, whether they can get on the charts or not, whether they have an opportunity to progress in their careers or not. And he's not afraid to say it as well, because there are a lot of people who've got similar influence and similar power, but they're afraid to say it because they're afraid that it might be taken away from them. Me, you can't take it away from me, because I've built my own independent media outlets, which I can control, which I can influence. That means that when my phone is off, I'm still there.
I'm looking forward to bringing you back again. I just want to give you a shout out because you spoke about taking your entire family to therapy. And from that point, myself and my family, my mom, my brother, my sister, and other people in my life, we've started doing this thing of taking walks and unpacking certain things in our past. And
oh, no, well done.
I believe now in the concept of, I actually have posted things like the greatest form of black tax and the best gift you can ever give your family is to go and fix your family and heal them. Because those things, the ripple effect from there becomes so much easier to, the reason we can't build businesses as family, work together, is because all those things at the bottom haven't been sorted. So
there's two things I want to say. You said you wanted to go for a hike. I had a conversation with my sister on the weekend. She called me, check out what I'm doing. And I was like, no, I'm cool. And she's like, okay, no, cool. She's like, what are you doing today? And I said, I'm chilling. She's like, oh, I'm going for a hike. And I said, I don't have time to do frivolous things like go for hikes while my family's falling apart. My sister doesn't care about her family. She sees herself as a white person. She's got white friends. She doesn't care about our cousins, Abaselukshin. She doesn't care about my brothers who all died of HIV. She doesn't care about them. She doesn't see them as human beings. Because she's been trained by this capitalist system, the education system, to see her brothers as savages. She sees me as a savage. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have a PhD. There's no white man that pays for my living. My sister, some white man pays for her living. Some white man decides whether she eats at the end of the month. She complains about her working conditions and all that shit. She doesn't see that Eraton Steel in Soweto is a building where the steel and aluminium for all the commercial buildings that are in the south in Soweto comes from. Her father built that. Because she paid 10,000 rands to bail out her father when he was having beef with Nomvula Mukonyane, she thinks that 10,000 rands means she's above her father. There isn't a commercial building in the south since that steel building was built that doesn't get its steel from that building that her father built. But when she's on E-News, she can't even tell you that. Because she's not proud of her father. He's not educated. He's an entrepreneur that was able to get her to a stage where she can have a PhD, 2 master's degrees. She has no respect for him whatsoever. She can't even see that in herself. Her family falls apart. She can't even see that in herself. I said, the worst thing I felt, the betrayal, that I went on a trip to Cape Town to clear the air. I was having disagreements with my wife when she was complaining, oh no, this is making me feel bad, because apparently Vusi Liu, when he was at Warner, told someone who worked with my wife that my big mouth is costing her opportunity. She's been taken off gigs. So when she told me this, I said, my love, you don't need gigs. If you need 25,000 Zoop, I've got it here. Let me transfer it into your account. You don't need to perform. You understand? And you need to get yourself out of this gigging thing. If they want you, you need to get yourself to a point where they're paying however many, $250,000 rand or something. That's where you need to work yourself in. Don't worry about such things. I went, have my sister, have the conversation, tell her what's going on. She's like, oh, okay, my brother, you're an activist, everything else. Have another situation. My wife calls my sister to come into the house. My sister says to my wife, well, if my husband did something that was affecting my career, I'd divorce him. So I'm thinking to myself, you're my sister. You're my family. Why would you even say something like that? Like, you don't understand the words of power. You've got a PhD in politics, philosophy, and economics. You understand that words of power. You understand? You understand that right now we're in an economy that was described by the words of Keynes. You understand? Those words have power. He's dead. You understand? Karl Marx's words have power. He's dead. The old words have power. You understand? There you are my sister. You're supposed to be for familial support. You're being called into an intervention. And the first thing you call into an intervention is to tell your sister-in-law that she needs to divorce your brother.
Sure.
You know?
You're not protecting us as a family.
You're not protecting us as a family. So now what is that PhD of yours? What is its use? It's used for those white people that you work for. It's not using your family. So my father spent his money educating you so that you can use that education that is supposed to benefit our family to benefit those people that enslaved us. My grandfather didn't want the women in the family to be educated. That caused the fight. My dad didn't understand what was happening, but my grandfather didn't want his daughters, his wives, to work. You understand? For a pittance. He had 3 wives. He was rich before the colonialists took everything away from us, took us out of the royal household, threw us into the fucking desert where we ended up, where my father ended up. And because my father was mad that, oh, we fell from riches, we fell from grace, dad cost us everything. He's mad at his dad. That's my grandfather. Now, my father is subject to the system. He made his way through apartheid. He became a millionaire in apartheid. You understand? So he's different from me. I fight the whites. He doesn't. He plays the long game. Okay, I'll find a way to work around them. But right now, we don't find ways to work around them now. We've got the freedom to fight. So he's still in that old condition. So he's not going to fight this condition. He's not going to tell his daughter, listen, you've got your PhD. That's because of me. You're my daughter. You're my child. Your PhD contributes to this family. You've got cousins. You've got sisters. You've got teenage pregnant cousins. Where is the guidance as a sister? You want them to be guided by other people who are educated by other people in your own family. You understand? The girl children in your own family are not benefiting from you. You're not an inspiration to them. You are shining over them.
Yes, I've said this before to people that it doesn't make sense for you to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, and then you hover above your family. If anything, you're meant to, every time you call home, educate them so they become honorary whatever you are.
Exactly.
I really hope, and for me, this is what therapy is, that you and your sister find each other. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be difficult.
Well, I went through the therapy with my sister. That's the thing. So
that you guys understand each other and to your wishes, you guys start working together. I think I understand your grandfather.
There's no point in doing that. So for me, I've given up on that. My sister, she's not going to carry the family name. She's going to be married into another family. There's no point in that. I need to win this fight with my father. I need to win this fight with my wife. I need to win this fight with my children. I need to win this fight with my brothers and sisters who are my cousins and everybody else in the extended family, right? That's where I need to win this fight, because those are the people who are at least humble enough to understand what is going on within our family.
Are you still going to therapy?
No. I did the therapy for 6 months because I needed a referee. But once we discuss the issues and we can discuss the issues ourselves. We have the therapy for when we are unable to communicate and discuss issues and resolve. So we need a referee. So we did that for 6 months. You know,
life is long. I really hope what you're saying, that you've given up, is just a now thing. And I'm hoping that over
Well,
time
yeah,
you will
no,
change
I've given up trying
your
to
stance.
change her. No, I cannot change it because
Now.
that's the brainwashing. No, I cannot. What I can do,
I'm saying, I hope it's your now stance.
She can come. No, I will never stop loving my sister. That's my sister.
No, that's fine.
You understand what I'm saying?
But I'm hoping you guys find each other.
Yeah.
And this thing of she'll marry into another family falls away.
No, well, she will. That's the truth of the matter. I need to accept that. You understand? So I cannot now distract myself by now trying to convince her, hey, you need to contribute to the family. I cannot. Because then I'm not contributing to the family. I need to contribute to the family by actively contributing to the family and showing her the value of contributing to the family. And once she sees the value of contributing to the family, I'm hoping that she'll be inclined to play her part.
Love it.
But for now, she believes that her part is to excel in academia. But you excel in academia to what end? You understand? And to what end? Who are you going to share that success with?
Sure.
You know, like who's going to celebrate that success? You're going to have a graduation and who's going to come? Who are you going to invite? Your colleagues. Those people are only your friends because you're at the same workplace. You know? So that was the conversation that I was like, you know.
You're not going to go hiking because it's frivolous white people stuff.
No, not that it's frivolous white people stuff. It's that we've got other issues.
No,
we should
I
be
hear
fixing
you.
our family. We shouldn't be hiking right now. We should be sitting as a family. You should be saying, listen, let's take a family hike.
No, I
You understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you say because
So
me and my family hike, and what I'm getting from you is if your sister was like, listen, I want us to discuss something, and do you mind us doing it at a hike? I hear you.
I would gladly go to the hike.
Sure.
But now it's just a hike
Just
for the
enjoy,
exercising.
take photos.
While we've got real family issues
Yeah.
that are actually happening. And the other thing is that, you know what? I feel like because I didn't get the opportunity. You know, I don't know what happened, but I tried to speak to our friend Unkululego.
What a pause.
Yeah, so he completely ghosted me. So I was like, huh? What's going on? So I went to his house, checked on him, cool. Saw the mother of his child there, said, listen, I've been trying to get hold of him, tell him to call me urgently. So he hasn't. So I sent him a message. I was like, okay, fine. You still haven't gotten back to me. It's been months. And I was like, yo, we're working so closely together. And so, you know, I actually wanted the opportunity after having a rehashed conversation with him, like we're going to continue our conversation, to say, you know, I feel like because now I've now taken myself off of Twitter. Thank you. With the assistance of rules violations. I never ever got the chance to fully explain or to apologize, actually, to the confusion that was caused by that clip that I said about Mihlali.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, to Mihlali's loved ones and those that care for her, you know, I'd like to apologize for the misconstrued message. There is no point in time where I wanted to say that she's an object, or that she deserves to die, or that she deserves to be killed, or that any woman deserves to die or deserves to be killed. The point that I was making is that the objectification of women in our society is causing men that pay for women to see them as objects that can be killed. And that is the reason why we're seeing femicide. And when we see influential women, right, signing up to this life gladly and showing us the best parts of it and not showing us the bad side of it, they're influencing young girls to desire this lifestyle. And they're influencing young girls to desire a lifestyle that can get them killed.
Thank you for the clarity and for the apology.
Well, I forced you to apologize last time.
And I did.
So
I definitely apologized.
I'm apologizing now.
And the clarity, because I remember my apology, and I remember some of the people in the comments were like, this guy's not really apologizing. Because I apologize for offending you and for the misunderstanding. But we're human, we're growing, we're learning, we're trying to figure ourselves out in the world. So thank you.
No, thank you so much.
In Nkulego's defense, it's not that I'm his spokesperson, but I know there was a time last year when he just took a break from the work he was doing and he was just reflecting. So I'd like to think at that time, maybe he was going through that.
I tried to speak to him 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
He hasn't responded to me in months since the last time I did. We've done content together. We shot 4 episodes together. You and me, right? We might have a disagreement. Me and Kulega never had a disagreement or a fight. Why would we ghost each other? And like,
hopefully it's just a temp thing.
No, but
I don't know.
The thing is this, I watched his content beyond that because he was speaking about it. He's like, I had to take a break, and he explained, I felt like I was digging myself into gossip content and all that type of stuff. And I was like, the stuff that we did Yes, we discussed popular culture. Yes, we discussed celebrity culture because it's influential to the public.
And
right
it's kind of the industry you come from. So
that's it. That's what I'm going to discuss.
You can't talk about
you understand? So you can't
PPE
call me a gossip
if you're not from there.
You understand?
Yeah.
You can't call me a gossip because I speak about the industry that I'm in. And that's why you're speaking to me.
Fair
and
enough.
also, speaking to me also gives you authority.
Sure.
You're speaking to someone who is known, who's recognized, who is trusted. And that gives you credibility. So once you get that, to then ghost myself and Ntlantla is like, a little bit weird. But I understood that. I was like, you know what? This is exactly the temptation for someone else to get angry and upset over.
Sure.
I'm like, no, that's not what we need to get angry and upset over. He will see that over time. It wasn't about the gossip content or anything else. That wasn't what's making him feel bad.
Sure.
What's making him feel bad is the adult content. The speaking to porn stars, speaking to broken women and everything else. And what you're listening to is stories of trauma, severe trauma. And they might be shielding that. Oh, now I'm a porn star, I'm selling my body, so I feel better. They don't feel better. You're actually hearing people who are actually talking about how their pain has turned them into monsters that don't love themselves, that are out there publicly destroying themselves for a subscription fee. And that you're platforming it, but you're not creating any interventions. You're just like Jola 99. You're taking advantage of people's trauma and hurt and pain. And you're using that to get views on YouTube. And you can get that on YouTube, but you're not helping anybody. At least if you speak to prisoners who've come out of jail, it's about a story of reform. They tell you what they've gone through, what they've experienced, and how they've changed. But if you're speaking to people who are still porn stars, they haven't changed. They haven't reformed. They haven't dealt with the traumas. They haven't dealt with the childhood rape or whatever other issues that they're discussing. And that's more and more of the content that seems to be getting views. And that's more of the content that you're gravitating towards. If you're going to now try and say, I'm going to pull the moral higher ground and I want to talk about gossip, but yet you're platforming porn stars who are broken inside. And you're not helping them in any way. You're actually making matters worse for them. Because now you're putting them in public platforms which they weren't exposed to, whose audiences are not there for adult content, as well. So you're outing them.
I hear your point. I love Nkululeko very much. I want to defend this part because I remember one of the gents I work with, Tutebza, that was one of my criticisms initially of these reality shows and the work that happens afterwards. And I know he's done interventions, but for me, he doesn't have to. My hope is that through those platforms and stories, there will be social workers. And maybe that's where we need to be asking, where are the social workers, lawyers, other people that can come in, professionals, to be like, I just saw a porn star on a platform. Can we reach out to this person and find out if they're okay? Kind of situation. Because sometimes it becomes a bit much. Let's say for me,
let's remove the porn star. Look at Ubong.
Intervene.
His most popular video is the video of Ubong.
Yeah.
He did the video of Ubong. People saw the video of Ubong. Everyone that reached out to help Ubong reached out because of that video.
Sure.
But it wasn't because of Nkululego's intervention. They reached out because they saw the video. The video went viral.
That's what I'm saying. That maybe that is good enough. Because I can say, I'm thinking for myself. Some of us can't do everything. I've had people last year when you trained for pub things. Hey, speak to your boy. I'm like, Nota, Nchitom Dala has got his own life. I speak to him, we have disagreements. It's not for me to come and intervene. Nota, shut up, your what. It's like, look, if you guys see something, maybe you can speak to someone else, and intervene. So sometimes I'm just saying it becomes a bit much. And sometimes it's good enough just to platform someone and then people can help.
That I get, right? And you're platforming Ubonga. But now when that is your content, you're speaking to each and every single, every porn star's got the same story.
No, I hear your point. I hear the point you're making.
So that's my only point is that the porn star stories, fine. You can't say, I want to stay away from gossip and toxic content if you're just going to now put on toxic content with porn stars. But let's remove ourselves from that. Sure. Now you've got Ubonga. Now he becomes popular because of he's blown up. He's gone viral from a podcast. You understand? What is the intervention? No one is helping him. Everyone is using him to trend.
True.
Now we're using these people that we're making famous to trend.
Objectification.
Objectification. And I thought to myself, okay, fine. How does this help? It does help. Yes, it might be objectified, but Ubonga, as much as he feels people don't care for him, he knows that they do. They care about him. He's got something, you understand? He's recognized. He can't go somewhere where he's not recognized. And I thought, how useful is that in America's Most Wanted. You understand? Then how useful would that be if we were to turn our prisons into reality TV places where we shoot content with the prisoners so that by the time they come out of prison, we all know them.
Yeah.
So that, Penuel, Fana, come on, dog. You spent 10 years inside, like, come, you robbing me. No, Penuel.
I know you too well.
Dog,
bro.
like, dog. After 10 years, after everything you've been through, you're still going to be robbing me, dog. Nah, dog.
Is that a potential show? Reality TV inside the prison? Because the Gender Network's doing an amazing...
I don't think it should be television. I think it should be online. And I think it should be...
cameras in the prisons.
Cameras in the prisons.
Profiling and getting to know people.
Getting to know people, but we get them onto VR headsets where they are in the metaverse and they're being re-socialized into behavior through the metaverse. Because they're sitting there doing nothing. So rather let them go to school in the metaverse. Let them attend a class with other children through goggles. Let's get Facebook to give everyone Oculus Quest inside the prison so that by the time our prisoners come out, they're reformed. You know, they can actually positively contribute.
But you also know capitalism doesn't want to reform prisoners.
But that's the thing about the content. That's capitalism.
Sure.
How much content are you getting? If one prisoner comes out and then he can give you 20,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, if you've got each and every single prisoners, we've got a prisoner population of 190,000 men. You understand? Times that by 20,000 subscribers each, Mr. Beast would be seeing shit.
Shout out to Mr. Beast.
You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So we can change that, and then we'd be changing the course of criminality. Our crime would be different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you wouldn't be able to do crime anonymously anymore. You know, and if you're not able to do crime anonymously, you're unable to do crime. That's why people put on balaclavas. If they were seen by everybody, they wouldn't be doing the crime.
True.
So part of this crime prevention, we don't need more guns. We don't need more bullets. We don't need to make our policemen killers. No. We just need to make sure that all our criminals are famous.
Shine a spotlight on the criminals.
And you understand what I'm saying? Make them the stars.
Sure.
Yes. You want to be a star?
Now they can't move. Hey, that stuff puts you in a cage, by the way.
I know.
Being known, being seen.
I know. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Nota, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll be seeing you again soon.
Yeah, no, hopefully we can have another conversation about a whole lot of stuff this year. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get to 2024 without having to call an early election.
Sure. Easy. You're out.
Sharp.